I am Tammy Ramos, and welcome back to another edition of Advancing Angelo, where we talk all things economic development in our great city. And familiar face, we have today we have with us Mr. Mike Berry.
Hi there.
Who kind of leads the way in all things economic development for us. And before we introduce our guests, I'm going to have you, Mike, just kind of talk about a little bit about why we're here today specifically with these two.
Yeah, so the whole point of us being here is to talk, like you said, all things economic development, but do it in an interesting way where we do it against the backdrop of a local business, kind of talk about how they became, why they're here, and why ultimately help use their story to help our viewers understand why San Angelo is a great place to work, why it's a great place to live, and if you're not working here yet, why you need to get here fast and start working here.
And also a great place to start a business.
That's right.
All right. So we'll just segue in. I'll have you introduce yourself, Mr. David.
Yeah, David Alexander with Centurion Planning and Design. I'm the COO and Principal Engineer.
And I'm Molly Waller. I'm the CEO and Principal Planner for Centurion Planning and Design.
I love that. Okay, so let's just, for those that are not familiar with the organization, can we just talk a little bit about what it is that you guys do, like a high-level overview of what it is that you guys do?
Yes, I'll tackle this. We are transportation-focused consultants. So we work on roads, streets, sidewalks, airports, really coast to coast, doing the planning, the design, and then we got into the construction services field. We actually do the materials testing during construction and the construction observations.
I love that. And so let's talk about your humble beginnings. So those humble beginnings, the start of this company was right here in San Angelo.
That's correct.
Okay, so let's talk about the beginning and how Economic Development Department, our chamber, and just the partnership between your start and where you are today has gotten you here.
Well, I'll start and then turn it over to David.
Okay.
We had both been in the consulting world for about 20 years. So we thought, how hard can it be to run your own business? And we learned very quickly it's very difficult to run your own business. David being the principal engineer, we had to base the company in San Angelo. I didn't physically reside in San Angelo. We were looking for office space, and I kept encouraging David to go to the incubator. And he said, I don't have to hatch. And I said, I think we need to go to the incubator. So we landed in the incubator, and he immediately grasped onto all of the opportunities and all the resources that were provided there.
Yeah, it was one of the best decisions we made, actually. The office space was perfect. They provide you all of the services that you need locally. The SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, is right below us from Angelo State. They helped us immensely, and I think it's a great place to be for any beginning business.
One of the first things they did was they said that we needed to attend a course called Profit Mastery. And they sent us over to Sonora Bank, and we did this Profit Mastery class. And I've got to tell you, we're 7 years into that, and David and I are still pulling on the tools that we learned at that class. And we would not have known about that class had we not been in the incubator. David got to go do quarterly reviews with quite a few of the companies, the mentors. We still use those mentors. It was just a tremendous resource, and I really don't think that we would be where we are today if we hadn't had that opportunity.
Yeah, most people that start businesses, they know what they do, but they don't really know how to run a business. And that's where the economic development folks and the business people know how to teach you how to do that.
And how to scale.
How to scale.
And so speaking of scale, so now that leads us to present day.
Oh, goodness.
So let's talk a little bit about where you guys are now and just some of the projects that you're working on that impact our local economy, and then how that expands out, you said, across the country.
Yes. You want me to go first?
Sure, go ahead.
Two of the first projects that we won as Centurion Planning Design were at the airport. We actually led the preparation of the airport master plan, which really set the vision for a lot of the things that are currently happening at the airport. That was a tremendous honor to get a project of that significance right out of the gate. Shortly after being awarded the airport master plan, we were awarded the design for the Chadbourne Street reconstruction, which was a significant project for the city of San Angelo, and actually led to David and I deciding this is where our home base needs to be. We purchased a building across from 01, completely renovated it, and that is something I get the goosebumps. I'm still very, very proud of what we put in San Angelo. We used the TIERS funds, and again, going back to the Business Resource Center, using the resources through there to make that happen. So those two projects really allowed us to set our foundation here in San Angelo. We hired civil engineers, we hired planners, we hired administrative staff, and really it was that San Angelo office that was really booming and really growing. You have anything to add on that end?
No. About the same time, the ASU started their civil engineering program or their engineering program, and so at that point, we started looking towards them to gain employees and start, the whole economic engine locally here, starting with education and that sort of thing.
Can you talk a little bit about your partnership with ASU and how you were able to obtain or are able to obtain employees through that engineering program?
Sure, we like to do word of mouth. We have hired people over the years, so we ask the students, who would they recommend, and so we do some word of mouth. But I'm part of the industry advisory committee for the engineering program, and so we also talk to the professors there and work through their resources that they have locally in terms of people that want to go to work for engineering companies, civil engineering companies primarily.
I think David's been a huge asset in that regard because it was a newer program in Angelo State. They've got, Texas Tech they can lean on. But we've done things like encourage the professors to have your students take the FE exam, have them graduate as an EIT. It makes it a lot easier. They're not transitioning, taking a giant test, as well as learning how to do a job. I think that the constant communication between our team and the ASU engineering students is really resulting in some excellent graduates. We always have an ASU intern in our office. Seeing what we do. They get to work at Philadelphia International, DFW. They get to work on local projects. So we're invested in ASU's engineering program as the first one. And then the aviation program's a whole nother animal, which is a huge passion of mine, exposing, kids and students to aviation. It's something that I never knew about until I got a job. So we're very active in that program also.
Yeah, I love that. Both big programs for our community and a lot of buzz, and it's exciting to see them grow, and it's exciting to also see all the different partnerships and hands that play into bringing them to fruition. So let's also talk about what you guys see for the future. So we're here, we've got a lot of big projects, your hub, not just a hub, but in downtown San Angelo, which is also big. But what do we see happening in the future, and what does that impact look like?
Oh my goodness. The future in San Angelo, I split my time between Kansas City and the Bedford area physically as far as where I live. And when people ask, why do you have an office in San Angelo? I said, well, you do know there are going to be 2 interstates going through San Angelo. I'll talk a little bit about the aviation side of things. There are all kinds of new aircraft that are out being developed. There's autonomous aircraft. There's aircraft that are electric. There's some aircraft that are actually liquefied natural gas. And when we talk to these aircraft developers in California, they don't want to manufacture those planes in California. They want to come to Texas. And when I look at your airport specifically, you've got tremendous space for aircraft manufacturers. You've got a community that embraces that technology. You've got universities that are willing to partner. Howard College is actually putting in an airport mechanic program.
That's right.
So just the fact that the city is willing to embrace, and the education, the industries, in my opinion, there's so much opportunity for the airport with this next generation of aircraft. It's not just going to be Boeings and Cirruses. We're talking Savignon. We're talking all these different aircraft manufacturers out there.
Yeah, and actually that Howard College A&P program is going to be kicking off this summer. Mm-hmm. So it's not that it's sometime in the future. It's right around the corner. And that's going to be huge to what you were saying, is because when you have a program like that has training folks to be able to work on those airplanes, all of a sudden those manufacturers say, I need to be where the talent is, and they're going to want to set up shop here. Huge economic driver. I want to go back to what you said earlier about kind of being a hub and whatnot. San Angelo is strategically located in the state of Texas, specifically here in West Texas. And that positions Centurion, being headquartered here, very well for future growth and expansion along with the rest of the San Angelo and the surrounding area. Right? I mean, that just adds to what we already get to boast about is already a diverse economy here. That helps every other business be successful, because when we're diverse like that, we can weather those downturns better than some communities that are very pigeonholed into one particular industry. And it's important, I think, to know, for those that don't know, that San Angelo serves as a central hub. Specifically, we are serving as a transportation and logistics hub. That's our history, but that's also the future for San Angelo. When you look at our business and industrial park out there northeast of town, when you look at how wide those roads are, yeah, you figure, it's a great place for industrial businesses and manufacturers to go, but that's really a logistics park. that can handle a lot of logistics traffic. It's situated perfectly for that. And with that, when you're a hub like that, that provides access to companies like Centurion and the other businesses, access to key markets that you just can't get anywhere else. Whether we're talking about future interstates or the existing highway system, whether you're talking about the rail system that we have here in the rail park, and then again our regional airport, right? With our precision runway, we have the capability to not just have warehouse manufacturers and industrial partners out there, but handle a lot of logistics transport traffic in that airport that we're not seeing yet. There's a lot of potential there.
Well, and I think the fun part, I'm a mom of 3 kiddos. 2 of them are in college, one's a senior in high school. So I'm always looking at the opportunity for the next generation, the young folks. And there are students at Angelo State, Texas Tech, really any university that the thought of living in the Metroplex isn't as appealing to them. They like living in a town where,
Right.
It's 5 minutes to go anywhere. And what I think is the most exciting for me is I just left the office and I talked to Bryce, one of our EITs, and he's working on projects at DFW Airport. Those projects are going to involve autonomous vehicles. They're going to involve, all of the technologies that aren't quite in San Angelo yet, but the fact that the city's got that resource in David and Bryce and Will and the team and Tyler here, they know what's coming. And so, we can also be, good advisors on, okay, here's what's working, here's what's not working, here's what you need to get ready for. It's not going to be long before there's not somebody sitting in the cab of a truck. And we're already getting exposed to that, and our team here locally is. So when you tell somebody that's getting out of college, hey, you can live close to home and still get to work on these amazing projects all over the country.
Still make a great wage.
Yes, and make
Yeah.
a great living.
Yeah.
Right, they're one of the few companies that actually, it's when you get out of college, the next step is finding a job, and really for most people, they're focused on the job itself, maybe the salary. But now there's a shift where people are looking at, well, where do I want to work first before I figure out what job I want? And the cool thing about Centurion is that they provide a place to work for graduates right out of ASU's engineering school, right? That's a huge a banner for them to be able to wave. And I want to touch back on, you talk a lot about projects you have elsewhere in the country.
Yes.
And I want to bring some economic development perspective in there. It's great that you're headquartered here, and it's amazing that you get to work on local projects, and that's important. But from an economic developer's perspective, if we can help you grow and expand, and not only help our local entities focus on hiring you to do their work here, but if you're out there getting jobs across the country, you know what that's doing for our community? That's having other communities' dollars imported directly into our community, raising our overall wealth of society across the board. So your work outside of San Angelo is equally important because we need those dollars coming in here.
Yes. Well, and I'll say that the one thing David and I talk about, and David can probably add a little bit to this, is we've got an office in Bedford, which is in the DFW Metroplex, and that office is growing hand over fist just to accommodate the workload that we have. We would like to see our San Angelo office grow the way that our other office has grown as far as bringing more engineers in and doing those types of things. So we're always out looking for those projects, that are maybe a different part of the state that we could bring in.
Yeah.
David, I know you've got thoughts on how you'd like to see the San Angelo office grow.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things going on here locally that helps the business grow as well. The city has a lot of projects going on, the county. There's a lot of things going on that we would like to be involved with and help be a resource for. We can be a resource for a lot of different things, as Molly has mentioned. We work on a lot of very large projects across the country, and we can bring that expertise to bear here in San Angelo as well.
We're actually we're getting into the, and this is going to get a little technical, but we're actually purchasing a drone that can do LiDAR scanning for survey purposes. And David speaks much more intelligently about what I do. Our projects at the DFW and the big areas are allowing us to invest in technology that are going to be amazing on local projects as far as change site, and getting it on the map. If you've got a big industry that's coming in and they see you've got a local firm that's out doing LiDAR surveying with drones or fixed-wing aircraft, that's a big deal, and they know what those are, even in the oil and gas world.
Yeah. I want to give you some numbers for you guys, but also for the audience to think about. In economic development, the big trophy is to bring in businesses that are not here and get them landed here and to set up shop. but also a big part of economic development is focusing on the businesses we currently have and helping them grow and expand. And the main reason why that is because 80% of all job creation happens in a local area by the existing businesses. So if we really want to help everybody, we focus on those local guys. And right now we've got about 450, just short of 500 engineers employed in our local area. And the demand for right now is we need about, on average, about 34, 35 new engineers every year. That's for the jobs that are coming. That's for the folks that are retiring out, aging out. But that's just a snapshot of today. That demand is going to grow on an annual basis as the community grows and the community expands. And that's a pretty heavy lift. But that's where partnerships with ASU and Centurion are going to help us meet those goals.
Yep. I love that. So it's humble beginnings to scaling across the country, feeding our economic development. Also, if you have more, if you want more information or have additional questions, you guys have a website,
Yes.
and that's just
CenturionPlan.design. The .coms were all taken when we
.com.
started our business, so there's no .coms anymore.
So dot
So
design.
we're .design.
Okay, yeah, and so this all ties in together. We've done a segment on top occupations in our community, and engineering was at the top of that list. And so knowing what you guys do, knowing about the partnership at ASU, if you guys are considering that occupation, this is a great place to start, great place to ask questions. Thank you guys for both joining us here today. Mike, as always,
Sure.
talking about just all the different ways that your organizations impact our local economy. So we'll see you guys next time.